Hello everyone. Today's topic of discussion is another topic from number system, which is SCF and LCM. Okay. So this is something that we study in a fifth or sixth standard. We understand how do we calculate SCF, how do we calculate LCM. Okay. So most of you would be knowing this also, like what is SCF, what is LCM. So the full form everyone knows, that is the highest common factor, the lowest common multiple. Sometimes people do call that as greatest common divisor also, right? So what we'll be doing is we'll be actually understanding what is LCM, what is SCF, and once we understand that, then we'll be solving some actual questions. Some like we won't be solving something like, okay, calculate the SCF of 12 and 16, calculate LCM of 48 and 36. No, we won't be doing that. That's not our concern. What our concern is actually, we'll be solving questions which you can expect in the exam. Okay. All right, so the first thing is we'll understand what is SCF, what is LCM. Okay, how do you define both the terms? Okay, not the full forms, but how do you define both the terms? How do you calculate? And then we'll move on to the questions part. Okay, all right, let's get started. Okay, so when you talk about the terms LCM and SCF, so LCM stands for lowest common multiple. SCF stands for highest common factor. Okay, so we're going to understand what do we mean by the lowest common multiple and what do we mean by the highest common factor, and we'll do that with the help of an example. Okay, so let's say we will start with the SCF first. Okay, so let's say there are two numbers. Let's take actual numbers rather than taking variables. Let's take the numbers to be 24 and 32. Let's take the numbers to be 24 and 32. So if I ask you to calculate SCF of 24 and 32, the question is, what exactly am I asking from you? Okay, you know how to calculate. Most of you would be knowing how to calculate the SCF of 24 and 32, no denying on that part. But the question is, what exactly am I expecting from you? What I'm basically asking you is, I'm asking for that maximum integer value which can divide both the numbers. Which can divide both the numbers. I'm looking for the maximum integer value or maximum number which can divide both the numbers. This is basically what I am expecting, or this is basically what is asked when you're asked to calculate SCF. You're looking for that highest possible number which can divide both the numbers. Now when you use the word divide, this basically means that remainder is equal to 0. This basically means that remainder is equal to 0. Okay, so how would you do that? So I'm going to prime factorize 24. So 24 is 8 into 3, which is basically equal to 2 cube into 3. 24 is 8 into 3, which is 2 cube into 3. When you talk about prime factorization of 32, that will basically be 2 to the power 5. This will simply be equal to 2 to the power 5. Now if you want to calculate SCF of 24 and 32, or basically if you want to calculate SCF of 2 cube into 3 and 2 to the power 5, what you simply have to do, you have to take the common factor to its lowest power. It is common factor to its lowest power. So what's the common factor? The common factor here, it's only 2, because 3 is not there in 32. It's only 2. So the common factor that we have is simply 2. and the lowest power is 3, which is in case of 24, so it will simply be 2 cube, or which is simply 8. So what do we mean by 8 in here? 8 is that highest possible number. 8 is that highest possible number which can divide both the numbers. This is what is meant by the term SCF. So you can write 24 hours, 8 into 3, and you can write 32 hours, 8 into 4. So basically you can write a number as SCF multiplied by an integer value. This is very important, okay? This information that I have written inside the box, this is very important. You'll understand it why. Once we start solving questions, you'll understand why this information is very important for us. Okay, so number is simply SCF multiplied by an integer values. 24 is 8 into 3, 32 is 8 into 4, and so on and so forth. Okay, so this is how you define the term SCF. This is the meaning of the term SCF. Okay, all right, let's move on. The next thing that we need to discuss is the term LCM. So let's take another, let's again take two numbers, 24 and 32. Okay, so the question is find the LCM of 24 and 32. Find the LCM of 24 and 32. So the process is again the same. You'll have to do the prime factorization. Okay, first of all, let me make you understand what is meant by the lowest common multiple. So if I'm asking you to calculate LCM of 24 and 32, what exactly am I expecting from you? What exactly am I asking you when I say that calculate the LCM of 24 and 32? What I'm asking is that find out the smallest number which can be divided, or which is divisible. Let me be a bit more precise. Which is divisible by both the numbers. What is LCM? Or basically what is expected from you when you have to calculate LCM? You have to find that smallest number which is divisible by both the numbers. This is what LCM expects from you, or this is what basically LCM is actually. Okay, so how do you calculate? The process exactly the same like SCF only. You have to do the prime factorization. So 24 is 3 into 8, which will be 3 into 2 cube. 32 is simply 2 to the power 5. 32 is simply 2 to the power 5. Okay, now in case of LCM, what you have to do is you have to take all the factors into consideration to their highest powers. To their highest power. So the factors that we have 2 and we have 3. We're going to take both of them. The highest power of 2 available is 5, so this is 2 to the power 5. Highest power of 3 is 1, which comes from 24, so this is 3 to the power 1. So this is 32 into 3, and 32 into 3 is basically 96. 32 into 3 is 96. Okay, so you can see that 96 divided by 4 will give you 24, and 96 divided by 3 will give you 32. Okay, so this is what is meant by the term SCF, and this is what is meant by the term LCM. Now, another thing which you need to remember is that product of the numbers is always equal to SCF into their LCM, is equal to SCF into their LCM. Product of the numbers is equal to SCF into their LCM. Yep. So you can validate the result also. So 24 into 32 should be equal to 8 into 96. So when you do 24 into 32, the result will come out to be 768, and 8 into 96 will also come out to be 768. This is also 768. So product of the numbers is always equal to SCF into their LCM. Okay. All right, so the concept is pretty simple. It's not that difficult. Now let's move on to the questions. Some of the questions would be difficult, no denying on that part. This is the first thing I told you when we started with the basics of number systems. That the concept looks easy, but when you come to the questions, they are like actually very difficult. Okay, so let's start with the questions. So let's talk about the first question. Let me solve the first one for you. Then from the second one, you can pause the video and you can try the question by yourself. Okay. Another thing is, whenever you talk about question of LCM and SCF, like you need to figure out yourself whether this question is of LCM or whether this question is of LCM. SCF, my bad. Okay, it will not be given to you in the question that you have to do LCM or SCF. The questions are framed in such a way that first is you need to figure out whether it's a question of SCF or LCM, and then you have to solve it accordingly. Okay, all right, let's get started. A wall clock alarms every 7 minutes, whereas a table clock alarms every 11 minutes. If both the clocks alarmed at 10:23 a.m. on a particular day, when would both the clocks strike again together? So you have a wall clock. Let's start with t equals to 0. Okay, let's leave 10:23 aside. Let's start from t equals to 0. So at t equals to 7, the first clock will strike, and at t equals to 11, the second clock will strike. Okay, then at 14 minutes, clock 1 is going to strike again. At 22 minutes, clock 2 is going to strike. Then at 20, oh my bad, at 21 minutes itself, not 20 seconds, at 21 minutes itself, clock 1 is going to strike again. And at 22 minute, clock 2 is going to strike, and so on and so forth. The process is going to continue. So after every 7 minutes from t equals to 0, clock 1 is going to strike, and after every 11 minutes from t equals to 0, clock 2 is going to strike. So this is what it's going to happen. Okay, 7, 11, next 7, next 11, next 7, next 11, and so on and so forth. So the question comes, first of all, the first thing is, even if we don't consider 10:23 a.m., the actual question comes, after how many minutes will they strike again? After how many minutes will they strike again? We want clock 1 to strike, we also want clock 2 to strike. Now clock 1 is striking after every 7 minutes, clock 2 is striking after 11 minutes. Now if I want both of them to strike, I need to have a number which is multiple of both 7 and 11. If I want both of them to strike again, I'm looking for a number which is basically a multiple of 7 as well as 11. So I can say that after 77 minutes, both clocks would strike again, because that's going to be the LCM of 7 and 11. Because clock 1 is striking in multiples of 7, clock 2 is striking in multiples of 11. Okay, so I need a multiple of 7 as well as that of 11. So it's going to be 77 minutes. Okay, so 77 minutes after 10:23. So it will be like, if I add 60 minutes to 10:23, it will be 11:23. And then I'm gonna add 17 minutes to it. So that will be 11:40. It will be 11:40. So at 11:40, the two clocks are gonna strike again. Okay. So this is how you need to figure out whether this question is of SCM or SCF, or whether this question is of LCM. Okay. Let's move on. Let's try question number 2. So pause the video and try this question. Okay. So let's see what we can do with this one. So during a recruitment process, a company either appoints 7 new employees. So either it's +7 because it's recruitment, or fires 9 existing employees. Okay. So, or it's like, if in a certain month there was no change in the number of employees and the recruitment process happened at least twice, what could be the minimum number of recruitment process that took place? So either the company is appointing 7 or they are firing 9. Question is, in a certain month there was no change, however the recruitment process happened. That means the firing and appointing did happen. So let's suppose, first of all, they they had a round of appointment and they appointed 7 new employees. In the next process, they said, okay, we need to fire some people. So all right, so it's going to be -9. Now, if the process happened twice, one is appointment, one is firing, what's gonna happen? We're gonna have 2 employees short in comparison to what we had at the start of the process. But the question says that the number of employees did not change. There was no change in the number of employees. So it doesn't matter how many times you do recruitment and how many times you do firing. The change in number of employees will be 0. The change in number of employees will be 0. So how can I solve this question? Now I can't do this mechanically. Okay, let me have +7 again. Okay, then -9. So this will be like -4. Then let me have +7 again. Then -9. So this is going to be like -6. Then let me have +7. So and let me have -9 again. So this will become like -8. Then I can do like 2 plus 7s. I can't do it like this. It's gonna take so long for me. I need to understand SCF and LCM in this. I want the result to be 0. I want the result to be 0. If I want result to be 0, so I'm looking for a number which should be a multiple of 7 and 9. Because if you're appointing, then you're appointing 7 new. If you're firing, then you're firing 9 employees, 9 existing employees. So looking for a LCM of 7 and 9, which will be 63. So what you're gonna do is, when you talk about appointment, You're going to do it 9 times, because in one appointment you're appointing 7 new employees. So for 63 you'll have to do the process 9 times. And for firing you have to do it 7 times. You have to do it 7 times, because while firing you're firing 9 existing employees. So 63 new employees will be appointed, and 63 new employees, 63 existing employees will be fired, which will give you a result of 0, that the overall change is 0, which means the process will be conducted 16 times. The process will be conducted 16 times. Okay, so this is basically what your answer is. So the minimum number of recruitment process that will take place, or that took place, would basically be 16 number of time. 9 times you'll have to do appointment, 7 times you'll have to do firing. The point is not about LCM and SCF. I hope you would have understood in the first two questions. The point is not about SCF and LCM. The point is about understanding the question. This is where most of the students struggle. This is what you need to understand. Okay. All right. Pause the video and try this question, please. All right. Let's see what we can do with this one. 3 company of soldiers containing 120, 192 and 144 soldiers are to be broken down into smaller groups such that each group contains soldier from one company only, and all the groups have equal number of soldiers. So all the groups should have equal number of soldiers. What is the least number of total groups formed? So we need to break this 120, 192 and 144 in, let's suppose, X number of groups, such that every group consists of equal number of soldiers. Okay, so that every group consists of equal number of soldiers. So let's say every group consists of X number of soldiers. Okay, so I can say that 120 will be equal to X into P, where P will represent the number of groups that you will get from 120. 192 will be equal to X into Q, where Q again represents the number of groups that will be formed out of 192. And 144 should also be equal to X into R, where again R represents the number of groups that will be formed out of 144 soldiers. Okay. So what is this X? Think about it. What is this X? This X is basically the SCF. This X is basically the SCF. If you remember, when I taught you the SCF, I told you that a number is nothing but SCF multiplied by an integer. I need a number which is common for 120, 192 and 144, and which is basically a factor of 120, 192 and 144, because only if X is a factor of 120, 192 and 144, P, Q and R will be integers. X has to be a factor of all the three of them. So I need to calculate SCF of 120, 192 and 144. Let's do that. So 120 is 12 into 10, which is 2 cube into 3 into 5. 192 is this is 2 into 96. So 96 is 2 into 40 for 4 into 48. and then it's going to be 8 into 24. So 8 is basically 2 cube, and this is not 2 to the power 4, this is 24, which is again 2 cube into 3. And if you talk about 144, that is 2 into 72, that is 4 into 36, so that is 2 square, and 36 is 6 square, which is 2 into 3 whole square, that is 2 square into 3 square. So if I want SCF, it's the common factor to the lowest power. So common factor is we have 2, we have 3, we don't have 5 in all 3 of them. So 5 we won't take. So the lowest power of 2 is, so in this case we have 2 to the power 6, and in this case we have 2 to the power 4. So the lowest power that we have is 2 cube, and the lowest power of 3 is 3, which is from 120 as well as from 192. So SCF is 8 into 3, which is 24. So you can divide them into groups of 24. You can divide them into groups of 24. So 120 by 24, 5 groups. The value of P is 5. 192 by 24, that will be 8 groups. And 144 by 24, and this will be 6. Now, someone may have this doubt, why can't we divide them into groups of 12? 12 is also something which will divide 120, 192, 144. Why can't we divide them into group of 6, 3s? The point is, the question is, find the least number of groups. Find the least number of groups. So you want the highest possible number which can divide 120, 192 and 144. So that will be 19 groups. That will be 19 groups. Again, that's your answer. See, again, it's not about like calculating SCF LCM. If the question was simply, okay, calculate SCF of 120, 192 and 144, most I can say that most of you would have done this question. It's a very simple thing. But when they use words, then it becomes a problem. Okay, let's move on. Alright, pause the video and try this one. Okay, let's see what we can do with this one. So the SCF of two number is 12 and their sum is 288. How many pairs of such numbers are possible? Okay, so this is where the questions of SCF and LCM become a bit difficult to solve. Anyways, let's see what we can do with them. So SCF of two numbers is 12. So let's say the two numbers are x and y, okay? Now I know that numbers is always equal to SCF multiplied by an integer value. So let's say x is equal to 12 into integer 1 and y is equal to 12 into integer 2. Okay, because the SCF is 12, so x and y have to be multiples of 12. There is like no other possibility. So I can say that now their sum is 288, which means 12y1 plus 12y2 is 288, which means I1 plus I2. So I need to divide this. So 2 times it's 24 and this will become 48. So I1 plus I2 is basically equal to 24. Now none of I1 and I2, none of them can be negative. Okay, and at the same point of time none of them can be 0 also. So we'll have to start with a positive integer, which is 1. So let's say I1 is 1, so I2 will become 23, or let me make a proper box. So this is I1, this is I2, this is 1, this is 23, this is 2, this is 22, then it can be 3, then it can be 21, then it can be 4, it can be 20, then it can be 5, it can be 19, then it can be 6, it can be 18, then it can be 7, then it can be 17, then it can be 8, it can be 16, it can be 9, it can be 15, and we can move on. Then it can be 10, it can be 4, it will be 14, then 11, 13, 12, and 12, and then it's going to be exactly the opposite. Okay, now why I have written down all the numbers so that like I can make you understand something. Okay, so let's start with the first one, that is the first possibility, which is when I1 is 1 and when I2 is 23. When I1 is 1, then I can say that X will simply be equal to 12, and when I2 is 23, then Y will be 23 into 12. So 23 into 10 is 230, 230 and 46, which is equal to 276. Okay. Now we can see that the SCF of 12 and 276 is only 12. So this pair holds true. No denying on that part. So 1 and 23 will go. This will be our first solution. This will be our first solution. When you come to the second one, when I1 is 2 and when I2 is 22, what's going to happen? X now will become 24. X now will become 24, or let me write that as 12 into 2 itself. 12 into 2 itself, and if you talk about Y, then it will become 12 into 22, which is 12 into 2 into 11. Okay, now when you talk about SCF, we have to take something which is common. So you can see that for yourself, 12 into 2 is something which is common in both X and Y, which is common for both X and Y. So, but we are looking for numbers which have SCF of 12. In this case, if I take I1 as 2 and if I take I2 as 22, I'm not getting 12 as their SCF, I'm getting 24 as their SCF. Understand this point. This point is very important. If you understand this point, then like 90% of the question is already done. If I take I1 to be 2 and I2 to be 22, then X will be 24 and Y will be 24 into 11. So the common part is not 12 anymore, or let me not use the word common part. The SCF is not 12 anymore. SCF is 24. SCF is 24. So I can't take this one into conclusion, or this will not be a part of my answer. Now, if I think a step ahead, or if I move a step ahead, can I say that this problem will be faced when I1 and I2s are always even? Because whenever I1 and I2s are even, whenever I1s and I2s are even, you will always have two, apart from 12, you will always have two as there something which is common. I will always have two which will be common apart from 12. Which means if you go for 4 and 20 also, you can do it for yourself. If you go for 4 and 20 also, I1 will become 12 into 4 and I2 will become 12 into 20. So it's not just 12 which is SCF. Now I can say that 12 into 4 in this case will become the SCF. Because I can take one more 4 from I2 also. Similarly for 6 and 18, it's again not applicable. For 8 and 16, again it's not applicable. For 10 and 14, again it's not applicable, and for 12 and 12 it can't be applicable because when both numbers are 144, the SCF will be 144. So even pairs will never satisfy in questions like these, because apart from the number which you want their SCF to be, you will always have 2 as another number which is part of the SCF basically. Okay, so these are out, even pairs are out. The only thing that we're left with is the odd pairs. Now again, in case of odd pairs, we just have to look for the numbers which are like not factors or multiples. Like for example, if you go for 3 and 21, if you go for 3 and 21, so I can say that I1 will be 12 into 3 and I2 will be 12 into 21. So it's not just the 12 which is the SCF. It's not just the 12 which is the SCF, it's 12 into 3 which is the SCF. Because I can have 3 from 21 also. This is also out. 5 and 19 will work for me because there is nothing in common. I1 is 12 into 5, I2 is 12 into 19, so 12 is the only thing which is common. 7 and 17 will also work. It's 12 into 7 and 12 into 17, so it's just the 12 which is common. 9 into 15 will also not work. 9 into 15 will also not work because in that case you can say that x will basically become 12 into 9 and y will become 12 into 15. So apart from 12 you can also have 3 in common. You can also have 3 in common. Okay, so I have made one mistake. These are not like I1s, I2s. These are the values of x and y. Okay, so please make that amendment. Again, you can't take 9 and 5. That's also not possible. Because in 9 and 15, you have 3 which is common. 11 and 13 will work because 11 and 13 has nothing in common. So one number is 12 into 11, another is 12 into 13. So 12 is the only number which is common. So how many are possible? 1, 2, 3, 4. So there are like 4 pairs which are possible. Now if in this case, the question is how many ordered pairs? So the answer is 8 because then you can like interchange also. If the question is simply how many pairs, then it's 4. If the question is how many ordered pairs, then yes, it's going to be 8. That's what the difference is. Okay, but I hope the concept is clear. That's more important. Okay, so this is like one of the examples where the questions of SCF and LCM can actually be really tough. Okay, all right, let's move on. Okay, pause the video and try this question, please. Okay, so how many pair of integers exist such that product of x and y and SCF of x and y is equal to 1080? How many pair of integers x and y exist such that product of x and y and SCF of x and y is equal to 1080? Okay, let's see what we can do with this one. X, okay. So let's say that SCF of x and y is p. So x is equal to p into some integer value. Y is also p into some integer value. And SCF is already given as p. So I can say that p into pi1 into pi2 is basically 1080. Or in short, p cube I1 I2 is equal to 1080. Now I have to first of all prime factorize this, because unless and until I can't do anything actually. So this is 108 into 10, which is 2 into 54 into 10, which is 2 into 2 into 27 into 2 into 5, and that is 2 cube into 3 cube into 5, which is 2 cube into 3 cube into 5. Okay, so I can say that p cube I1 I2 is equal to 2 cube into 3 cube into 5. Again, now I'll have to make different cases, and for that, first of all, I'm going to remove this because I need more space to solve the question. So I'm going to take case number 1, when p cube is equal to 2 cube. Now p has to be an integer, so I can only take cube values, because p cube cannot be 5, otherwise it's going to be a decimal value, which will give me like p is equal to 2, and which means that I1 into I2 is equal to 2 cube and 3 cube into 5. It's going to be 3 cube into 5. Okay, so I'll have to again make cases, that's the only thing. So I1 I2, so I can have 1, then I can have 3 cube into 5, I can have 3 square into 5, I can have 3 square, 3 into 5, okay, 3 into 5, and I can have 3 cube, and I can simply have 5. These are the only possibilities. Okay, so I'm not counting the ordered pairs, because you can have the reverse cases also, so that you can do it for yourself. Okay, so I have I1 I2, which is 3 cube into 5, so the only possible values are these 4 possible values considering the unordered pairs. Okay, now again the point is I have to take something which is so that nothing is common between the two numbers, because then I have to take the values of I1 and I2 in such a way that there is nothing in common between the two values. Otherwise, again, the SCF will not be P, it will be something more than P. Okay, I need to ensure that the SCF is P. Okay, so this will work because there is nothing in common. One of them is 1, another is 3 cube into 5. I can't take this second case because in this case 3 is common. Okay, so in this case my SCF will not be P. Again, exactly like the previous question, my SCF will not be P, it will be like 3P. Similarly, I can't take this case also into consideration, because again I'm gonna have 3, which is common, but I can take this one, which is 3 cube and 5, because there is nothing common with 3 cube and 5, so the SCF will remain only P. There will be no change. Okay, so if the question was ordered pairs, then you could have taken the reverse case also, because that could have been also possible. Okay, so I'm going to take now case number 2. In this case, I'm going to take p cube equal to 3 cube, which means p will be equal to 3. Okay, so again I1 and I2 will be equal to 2 cube into 5. Now you don't have to solve this. Again, use the concept like the logic of symmetricity. See, the only thing that is changing from this case number 1 to case number 2 is that instead of I1 and I2 being 3 cube into 5, now I1 and I2 is simply 2 cube into 5. Okay, now I1 and I2 is equal to 2 cube into 5. So what's gonna happen? You're gonna again have like 4 cases. So 1, 2 cube and 5. Then you're gonna have like 2 square and 5, 2 square, 2 into 5, and 2 cube and simplify. You know that these two cases won't work out, because apart from P, which is the SCF, you're gonna also have 2 from both of them, which is common. So only the first case and the fourth case is gonna work out. Only the first case and the fourth case is going to work out. Okay, So how many pair of integers are there? So they're going to be like 4 pairs. Okay, and that is basically your answer. If the question was ordered, then in that case it would have been 8. Otherwise, in this case, it's simply 4. All right, let's move on to the last question. So pause the question and try this video, please. Oh, sorry, try this question, please. Okay. So six different varieties, 6 different sweet varieties of count: 32, 216, 136, 88, 184, 120 were ordered for a particular occasion. They need to be packed in such a way that each box has the same variety of sweets and the number of sweets in each box is also the same. What is the minimum number of boxes required to pack? Okay, so this one is easy question. We have already done something similar to that. So what you simply have to do, you're asked to calculate the SCF. You're asked to calculate the SCF. Okay. So prime factorize 32 is 2 to the power 5. 216 is 6 cube, that is 2 into 3 whole cube, which is 2 cube into 3 cube. Then you have 136. So 136 is like 136 is like 2 into 66, which is 2 square into 33, and that will basically become 2 square into 3 into 11. So I think, no, my bad, it's 2 into 68. I think it's 2 into 68. It's not 66, 68. 120 and 16, right? My bad. So 2 square into 34 and 2 cube into 17. It's going to be 88. So that's 8 into 11. So that is 2 cube into 11. Then it's 184. So that is 2 into 92. So that is 4 into 46. That is 8 into 23. Or rather than writing 8, simply write 2 cube into 23. And then it's 120, which is 24 into 5. So that is 2 cube into 3 into 5. So if I want to calculate the SCF, so SCF is something which is common to its lowest power, and that is 2 cube. Okay, so what's the question? They need to be packed in such a way that each box has same variety of sweets and the number of sweets in each box is also same. Okay, so you can have like 8 sweets per box. You can do that. So if you have 8 sweets per box, so you'll be requiring like 4 boxes from here, 27 boxes from here, 17 boxes from here, 11 from here, 23 from here, and 15 from here. You can add these numbers, you'll get minimum number of boxes, and that will be your answer. Okay, so this topic seems easy, but it's actually not. Okay, you need a very well in-depth understanding of SCF and LCM, and I hope that I was able to do that. I try to be as clear as possible. Okay, all right, then let's keep it till here as far as this video is concerned. If you have any doubts, if you have any queries, if you have any questions, do let me know. And also please subscribe to this channel for more videos and exam related content, and please share it with your friends also. And if you have any doubts, any concerns, you can mail us, or you can Send us a message also on WhatsApp. And if you're looking for any personalized classes for SAT, GMAT, and GRE, you can always connect with us. Okay. Alright then. Thank you so much. Keep watching and keep learning. Thank you so much.